Considering that it's MLK Day, and MLK is one of the most beloved figures, black or white, in American history, I feel that it's only right to do this story. Yes, if you do your research, Martin Luther King Jr. has had a checkered past, but it still doesn't take away from what he's done for the American culture as a whole. I'm sure every single Martin Luther King Day, we as a society get bombarded with the same exact but very impactful stories of what he's done in the world and how he impacted the world the way that he did. But in my opinion, there's one part of MLK's life that many don't talk about at all, and that's his death. I feel we've been told the truth, but not everything surrounding the truth of his death. Plus, for the record, I'm not the type of person that feeds into conspiracies at all. I'm merely speaking from research that I've done, and I'm bringing it to you guys. I think MLK's death was an act of betrayal, honestly. I want you guys to take a look at something. Take a look at this man's face. If you guys have no idea when and where this speech took place, this was April 3rd, 1968, the day before he got assassinated. This video always creeped me out because I always looked at it from the standpoint of this is the very last time the world seen him alive, and it's just eerie. Look at his facial expression and just look at the blank stare on his face. In my opinion, I felt that he felt something. I mean, what he was saying in his speech, to his mannerisms, I felt like he knew something was going to happen to him. Unfortunately, he didn't know it was going to be the very next day, but I'm pretty sure he felt that his days were numbered. It's not foreign he was getting framed by J. Edgar Hoover and was constantly getting harassed by the Democratic parties that be. I would say basically on a daily basis. He understood that he was on borrowed time, especially considering 3 years earlier, Malcolm X was taken out the picture. He was the only big fish in the pond, and it was a consensus, I'm sure, they had to get rid of him. So with all the evidence provided, of course, I believe that it was a hit by the government to get him killed, but I have questions. I'm not the smartest man in the world, but I've always wondered this, and I've always asked, where was his security team? According to Mr. Benny Tucker, who was MLK's backup security, MLK had security at all of his marches and all of his out-of-state engagements. It just kills me mentally that this man was in Memphis pushing the Poor People's Campaign, and not once, at least from what I researched and studied, I never heard anything about a security team whatsoever. Looking at everything in hindsight, I feel out of all people that were there with him, Ralph Abernathy, Jesse Jackson, and Billy Kyles, the only person that was really his friend and really cared about him was Ralph Abernathy. Jesse Jackson, not much needs to be said about him. I mean, I always believed that Jesse Jackson was a joke. Him and Al Sharpton, for many reasons. I can't get into his head, but I'm pretty sure that he was jealous of MLK while he was alive, because since his death, he's been trying to make it his mission to be the Martin Luther King Jr. replacement. And in my opinion, in doing that, he's absolutely done nothing to help push the race forward. I only see or hear from this dude where he can try to push his BS agenda to the black community, and I feel the same was true when it came to his relationship with MLK. MLK was powerful. He had influence, and I'm pretty sure Jesse Jackson wanted that position. So MLK dying was an opening for him to be in that position of power. Now that MLK Day is here in 2023, I think we as a race, especially black men, should take the time out to truly love and value one another. It starts with black men because whether we know it and believe it or not, the progress of the black race falls on the shoulders of black men. We have to value and appreciate one another if we want things to get better. Black men being emasculated and the destruction of the black family has killed our progress as a race. We have to start there in order to make progress. Plus another thing, Martin Luther King Jr. would have only been 94 years old today if he was still living. To put that in perspective, Betty White was 99 when she passed in 2021. It would have been 100 going on 101 if she was still alive. My grandfather was 16 years old and my grandmother was 17 years old when MLK got killed in 1968. They're 70 and 71 right now. It wasn't that long ago. Stop letting people try to convince you that these things happened a long time ago when that's not the case. And as far as Billy Kyles, just check this out and tell me if you believe or not that certain people in his circle turned a blind eye to the possibility of him getting killed.
And when I finished sharing with them the last hour of Dr. King's life, a hurry, but that gave me the wonderful privilege of spending the last hour on earth. 3 preachers in a room, Abernathy, King, and Kyles. And we spent that last hour together in room 306 at the Lorraine Motel. The press is always curious, and writers, what went on? What did you talk about? I say, we just talk preacher talk. What preachers talk about when they get together. Yep. 5:45, we walked on the balcony, and he was talking to people in the courtyard. He stood here and I stood there. Only as I moved away so we could have a clear shot, the shot rang out. Thank you. I turned around and then knelt him back on the balcony.
Andy, Abernathy, and Jose Williams. Those are the 3 that saw that body. Now listen now. So I got in the yard and I was about to lose my cool because I was thinking if I could take some molecules out there and make me some guns and kill me some white folks. And one man said, now be cool. You're doing the same thing you're promising me you'll never do. And I started crying, and then I heard Jesse Jackson say, he told me, Jesse, take our people onto the mountaintop. And that didn't bother me, even though I know Jesse got nowhere near him. And then Jesse said, I held his head in my hand while he died. And that didn't get to me. And then Jesse said, look at my shirt. And I looked around, sure enough, and Jesse Jackson's shirt was drenched in blood. And I realized the only way Jesse could have gotten that blood was stoop down on that floor at the Lorraine Motel and rake that blood off that floor and put that blood on him. And I went crazy. I really tried to kill Jesse. They grabbed us and all that, but that hurt me so bad. The other thing was, when Abernathy Nose came back, says no need of prayer, no need of cry, no need of nothing. He is gone, it's over. He's gone to glory. And we called the meeting, the staff meeting, and Jesse claimed to have been ill. And Abernathy told him, Jesse, go ahead to the room and relax. Jesse had to have run like hell that room into that airport because he got out of Memphis to Chicago. All us feeling, everybody was still in the motel. Cut the televisions on the next morning, that was Jesse Jackson in Chicago with that same bloody shirt on, telling that same lie. I've never respected Jesse since that moment.
In other words, people within his circle failed him. Love him or hate him, people like Martin Luther King Jr. and Malcolm X don't come around often. And when you have someone like MLK that was willing to literally put his life on the line for the betterment of his race, you do everything possible to protect someone like that. Just think how far as a race we'd be now if MLK and even Malcolm got a chance to live well into the 90s and even the 2000s, how far as a race we'd be. Moral of the story, and what we as a race can learn from his death, is that we're strong people, but we're much stronger together.